Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a review of my visit to the Art Institute of Chicago. I didn't actually realize it was that large a museum, but it is located at 111 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. It is founded in 1879. It's one of the oldest and largest art museums in the United States. So I wasn't aware of that. Its hours are usually around 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Got there a little bit earlier and talking to people, so we just booked tickets online, which is the easiest way. I think there might be a little bit of a discount when you do that. And once the doors open at 11, then we kind of walked in. When you walk inside, you see the grand staircase, which is actually itself a art piece. It is an installation by Jiddisch Kalat, Public Notice Number 3, which was first unveiled in September 11, 2010, and connects two significant historical events: the First World's Parliament of Religions in 1893 and the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center on September 2001. So the words of that's embedded in these LED lights on the staircase is from a young Hindu monk, Swami Vivekananda, and it talks about calling for an end to religious fundamentalism, intolerance, and bigotry. Really neat display, but I guess the words, if you can read them and take the time to read them, are very powerful. They have a number of very significant art pieces. This one is George Seurat. This is A Sunday on the Grande Jatte, painted in 1884. They also have a online guide that I think you can download for free, and they go through many of the paintings and give you a lot of history. It's really neat to hear about these. I think just looking at them and taking snaps pictures is not good enough. You really need to spend some time with them, get a little history of them. For instance, this one of the things they said was, you notice that everyone is stagnant except there's a girl to the right that's moving. So little things. And we have to remember the time also. And during those times, there was no internet, no TV, no Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So you had this, and that was your form of entertainment. You did a day's work, and you looked at this picture and stared at it for many, many hours, and to get the different things, what was the artist trying to get at, instead of just having internet and we can search this out now. It's much more patient, and I guess things have changed with times, but that's really the context when you look at these artworks. Another famous work, this is Vincent van Gogh and his self-portrait. This is another Vincent van Gogh painting called The Drinker. To me, this is not really in classical Van Gogh style, and that's because this was painted in a time period where he struggled to maintain his confidence in his abilities as a painter. And in order to retrain himself, he tried to make copies of a number of works of other artists that he admired. So this one was borrowed from a black and white print from Honor Victorien Daumier, and he added some vibrant colors to the kind of black and white print. One of my favorite artists is Paul Cézanne and also Paul Gauguin. They have a similar style in terms of kind of the use of colors, although Gauguin paints a little bit more native, people. This one is A Basket of Apples by Paul Cézanne. This is a very large piece that sits above one of the staircases. This is called Sky Above Clouds number 4, painted by Georgia O'Keeffe, American artist, in 1865. She was 77 years of age when she painted this. It's 8 by 24 feet, and it depicts small white clouds. This is the entryway, and as you'd expect with most museums that are of high quality, the whole museum itself, the architecture is beautiful too. So it is kind of a work of art in itself. This next painting really struck me also. This is Excavation by Willem de Kooning. It's his largest painting up to 1950. And it kind of is if you look at it closely, you keep staring at it, you see different anatomical parts like bird and fish shapes, human noses, eyes, teeth, necks, jaws. It's kind of really neat in terms of very abstract and eye-catching. This is another piece that caught my attention. It's by Lee Montague. It's untitled. And it's actually made of steel, canvas, and copper wire. It looks like it's made from wood, and you see this big hole in the middle. So the art, this was done in 1959, and the artist incorporated canvas, which she salvaged from discarded conveyor belts, into this relief. She stretches the canvas and attaches it to welded frame with wire, and then every cloth element looks like it's directed towards this hole, and it looks almost like a orifice or opening of a volcano. Really neat. This is a haunting piece. It reminded me of the mannequin doll in the Squid Game episode on Go Go Stop. And this is kind of what he wanted to portray also, this very uneasy feeling. So the artist is Charles Ray, who he used to be a department store janitor. And he kind of knew things about, people and stuff like that. So with this is entitled Boy, and he created purposely a disquieting figure. It stands about 6 feet tall, which is the artist's height, and it has a softness of youth with rounded limbs, cheeks and limbs. But then the boy is clad in outdated garments, some childish, some militaristic, and then the pose and the gesture is kind of confrontational, but then his face is neutral. It kind of makes you very uneasy, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. Another interesting piece, this is by Francis Picabaya, who is a French artist. It's named Ecclesiastic. And this was while aboard a transatlantic ship in 1913 on his way from France to New York. He saw two fellow passengers, an exotic dancer practicing her troupe, and a priest who could not resist watching her in her rehearsals. And he kind of loosely did that scene here. You see fragments of dancing bodies and the rocking motion of the ship in the rolling seas. It's quite an interesting piece. This is The Old Guitarist by Pablo Picasso. This was painted in Barcelona, and it was painted in his blue period between 1901 and 1904. This was when he was basically poor and penniless. And in that period of time, he restricted himself to cold monochromatic blue palettes. You see the elongated figure of the blind musician. You see Picasso's interest in Spanish art, and the imagery kind of shows his personal struggle and his sympathy for the plight of the downtrodden, because he knew what it was like to be poor, because he was very poor at that time. And then this is Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, painted in 1942. Iconic painting. There's so much in this painting to go through, but it sees the loneliness of a large city. You see it's kind of a perfect place, but then you see that people are just not talking to each other. They're not really feeling happy. It's kind of like a bowl. It kind of doesn't make sense sometimes because it looks perfect, but then there's no door except the door that goes to the kitchen. There's no entrance. There's no debris on the streets. So even though it looks like everyone's happy, everyone looks disengaged and lost in thought. So probably many people have seen this photo before, but never known it is part of the Institute of Art in Chicago. This is American Gothic by Grant Wood. It was painted in 1930. And it's, again, a very compare and contrast thing. So they're standing outside this home, but they're very stiffly posed. They're dressed in kind of their most formal, but it's kind of not formal because they're farmers. It's got this kind of weird imagery in terms of the Midwest, Depression, farmhouse visit, but it's like this beautiful house in the background and these very figures that don't even look happy or look very uncomfortable in the front. It's kind of a interesting photo that evokes a lot of emotion and a lot of thought. There's so much to see here. And you could spend, if you are a real art person, probably spend 3 to 5 hours there easily. Even myself, I'm not a big art person, but I went through the highlights, what they call the essentials, which is about 20 some odd paintings and statues. So that took me about an hour, hour and a half. And you see some really magnificent items. So I would strongly suggest this museum if you are going to Chicago. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, safe travels.